Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Kingdom Builders Consulting Group, and you might be looking for the best way for you to have a sales process that goes from hello to contract with your ideal and likely buyer when they walk into your model home or come into your sphere of influence through phone or website or walk-ins. So everybody's got to have a process, or else you just don't sell anything. And unfortunately, if you don't sell, your business will go to hell. So we got to work on the selling part. So for a home builder, right? I'm a home builder coach and I provide a lot of new home sales training for builders. The first question we really kind of dive into and try and answer for any home building company is, what does that process need to look like? How do I take that customer from hello to contract quickly? Well, number one is you have to set up a rapport needs benefits close setup for your system. Every time a customer walks in the door, they're a stranger for the most part, or they reach out to you online or via phone. They're a stranger, and you got to keep them from feeling that stranger vibe. You got to give them some rapport right off the bat. Most people buy from people that they like and trust. So you got to make them like you and you got to make them trust you, or you're not going to sell them a home. You got to make a friend. And as a home builder coach, I have learned this over the years. I've had 30 years of doing this, and rapport needs benefits close has always worked from 30 years ago until today. It's still the system that works. The system I like to set up, I call CCBB, Connect Card Benefits Book. That's the first step when somebody comes into your model home or comes into your sphere. It's like, I've got to connect right away. I've got to find points of commonality, something that I have in common with them. There's a lot of different ways that I can do this. When the client first walks in, before they walk in, I can key in things that make them unique or things that I can pick up on that they might be excited to talk to me about. Unfortunately, most salespeople make the biggest mistake right off the bat. They forget the ratio of ears to mouth. You have two ears, one mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk. And the way that you get the customer talking is by asking great questions right off the bat. You need to drive the bus as the salesperson in the model home. And to drive the bus, you have to be the one asking the questions, not the one that's just vomiting information on your client, just feature, 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 this, that, and the other. You're telling them all of this data and information. That's not how you sell a home. For the customer to get comfortable with you, they need to hear themselves talking while in your presence, not you talking while they're in your presence. So when they get out of their car, first of all, let's key in on their car. One new home sales training technique as a home builder coach that I've used over the years is that, that customer, usually the guy, if he's driving a truck, like you ask him about his truck, he's going to want to talk about it. I know if somebody asks me about my truck, I could probably talk to you for 3 minutes about it, maybe 30, depending on how interested you are in what I'm interested in. But, it's like easy ways to get that conversation started is, man, is that an F-150? Did you get the lift kit on that? Which model? What year is that? Do you like that truck? How's that working for you? I love that color. How'd you pick that color? Is red your favorite? Ask them some questions about things they're interested in. Other ways you can kind of get that rapport built with them. Another new home sales training technique is ask them about the bumper sticker on their car or the license plate on the front. If they pull up in front of your model and they have a Kansas City Chiefs football logo on the front of it, first of all, they're probably not very bright. Just kidding, Kansas City fans. First of all, they're a huge Kansas City fan, and you might want to ask them about that. Oh, are you a Chiefs fan? All right, yeah. And you might just get them talking about their team. I mean, obviously, they've told you by that license plate on the front of their truck that they're interested in the Chiefs. Or they walk in your door, they're wearing a hat that says Alaska on it, or it says Denali National Park, or it says Myrtle Beach, or whatever. They bought the hat, they bought the t-shirt when they went somewhere on vacation. Ask them about that. Oh, have you been to Alaska before? Yeah, I have. Okay, great. What was it like? Tell me about it. I've always wanted to go there. What was your favorite part of it? Ask them some great questions and get them talking. Speaking of questions, one new home sales training technique of that is get them talking by asking don't ask closed-ended questions, which are yes, no. Ask open-ended questions, which are like, what are the top three things you loved about Alaska? What are the top three reasons you bought that truck? Oh, you went to Alaska. Tell me about your favorite part of the trip. What was the most awesome thing you did? And get them talking about something they're excited about. So that's the connect portion of it. As a home builder coach, one of the other things I suggest is you have some sort of a guest registration card. You need to have a card that's got the pertinent information that you want to talk to the client about, right? There's a lot of questions you kind of need to know some answers about, like, when are you looking to move into a home, right? How did you hear about us? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How many car garage? What rooms are important to you? What are the top three things that made you decide to go looking for a home? Are you trying to get away from something, or are you, you know, excited about a new change in your life? Did you, what's making you upgrade? Knowing that there's always, some specific information you need, budget, right? I talked about bedrooms, bathrooms, garage, but budget. And then, just moving into, some of the questions about specific rooms in the home that are most important to them. Whenever you're asking them these card questions, these guest registration card questions, I like to balance that with also not just asking them what they're looking for, but asking them what they're coming from. Because when you ask them what they're coming from, you find out usually pivotal information about what changed in their life. This speaks to motivating factors in their life. Like, if they say, oh, yeah, I want a 5-bedroom home, and they currently have a 3-bedroom home. Oh, okay, well, that's a big change, right? Why are you going from 3 to 5? What changed in your life that made you decide to go from 3 to 5? Any good home builder coach, is going to key in on these things and ask the client about what is the change. And they might go, well, we actually, our daughter, she got into some trouble. And I don't want to go into specifics, but, looks like as grandparents, we're going to be raising our grandkids and we don't have enough room in the home. It might be something like that. Or maybe they're like, yeah, I currently have 5 bedrooms and what I'd like is 3. Well, that's going to key in on a major change in their life, right? There's a lot of major life changes that are the motivating factors behind why somebody comes looking for a new home. And every one of those is usually a very emotional moment going on in their life. I'll give you some examples. Here's all the reasons somebody moves. I just got married. I just got divorced. I just found out I've got my corporation is relocating me. I just found out we're having kids. I just found out we're having another kid. The last of our kids just moved out and moved away, went to college, whatever, moved across the country. So now I'm a downsizing empty nester. Just became a widow, lost my spouse. My father, passed away, and my wife and I want to let my mom move in because she's, struggling with her health, and so we need more room for her. So these are all like major life-changing moments in people's lives, and those are some of the key reasons why people go looking. So you want to touch on those key reasons and make sure that you're bringing out the emotion of the need. The better you are at finding that emotional need and that motivating factor, the more you can continue to keep touching on that as you go through a tailored presentation for just them that's very specific to them and what their needs are. So that is your card portion of it. And let's be honest, if you don't get a name and a phone number, those are the two most important components of this guest registration card, then you don't have a lead because you're never going to be able to talk to this person again and they will go off into the oblivion. Because one of my new home sales training points is always that there are no be backs. People will always tell you, oh, we'll be back, but they never come back unless you call them or set an appointment for that next time. So that's connect, that's card. The next one is benefits. They walked into your world. Guess what? You get to drive the bus. You get to be in control of the conversation. And you need to make sure that you give them all of the benefits of why they should choose you, right? What is your unique selling proposition, USP? You need to make sure that you have a flyer that tells what your unique selling proposition is, your purple cow, if you will, right? In a field full of brown cows, the purple cow stands out, right? So you want to make sure you tell them why you're a purple cow. Why do you stand out? This should be an offer or an incentive that you have, and you need to have a flyer for this. And as a home builder coach, we always create these flyers for our builders, and that incentive flyer should be what we call a no-brainer offer. You got to remember that most people start they're looking, 97% of all new home shoppers start their looking on a thing called Google. It seems to be catching on, this Google thing. I don't know. But anyways, they start their looking there and they might look at 30 builders' websites online, but they're only going to personally, physically go visit somewhere between 3 and 5 of those before they finalize their decision. So you got to make the cut of the top 10% somehow. And the way you do that is through your no-brainer offer. You got to be great at presenting it. And then there's got to be other things that you talk about the builder, how many years you've been in business, awards that you've won, maybe the process of buying a home from you, as we'll get into the 5 easy steps. Like it's so easy to buy a home from us. Transparency of pricing. All of these things need to be part of your presentation. If you are a member of the NAHB, if you've won Parade of Homes Awards, heck, if you don't have anything, then talk about the Pinewood Derby you won in 1986. Whatever it is that the builder did that we can talk about that is a third-party reference, let's talk about that. And the final one is book. Before they leave, you got to make sure that you book the next step. You can't let them leave without the next appointment booked, because if you do, you turn into the chaser, and the chaser is never fun. You've got a client who you're chasing after because you don't have an appointment. You're being that obnoxious guy who just keeps calling and texting because you don't have an appointment. The best way to finalize this CCBB section in a new home sales training technique is always book an appointment from an appointment. Don't let them leave without the next appointment booked. You've got to do that. And then after they walk out, immediately send them a calendar invite as soon as possible, because most people equate speed with professionalism. So, home builder coach Aaron Antis right here, getting ready to sign off for this episode. Hopefully that helps you. That is just kind of step one. In further episodes, we will go into the other things that you need to set up to have a great new home sales process from hello to contract.